right. Let's see. Let's bring it back. Are we back? Ah, shit. Okay. Listen to this.
Ignored. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much. Peter, you were amused there. I'd like to go to Elizabeth first before I come to you. I saw Peter smiling there when those responses were coming, and I thought actually, Peter, you were agreeing with some of the points that were made from Moscow, I suspect, not in disagreement. A fact is, I think we've reached a point, Elizabeth, where we've got to start being very...
This is Indian television. This Biden character, he doesn't belong there. This is out of control. I mean, the reporting that we're getting is just wrong. It's just wrong. Let's continue.
very practical about the way this war is proceeding. And India is being practical. I think the world should start getting practical. Elizabeth, I don't think it's going to be possible to economically completely isolate Russia. It's not practical. You can punish Russia economically, but you cannot isolate Russia from the rest of the planet. And since that is the case, should we not enter into a more practical domain, rather irrational domain? You can't crush or demolish or destroy Russia, which is what the West wants to do, using this particular, this particular invasion as a reason for it.
I mean, this is how they're presenting it. This is what it's being said by it. And here's the reality. Russia won't defend India if China breaches LAC. Reality, U.S. refused to sanction China post Galwan. Okay, let's continue.
So why not start getting practical and take the approach that India has? Let's do business with Russia. Make the Russians see sense. Make the Russians realize that the human rights atrocities, the civilian suffering has to stop, that the invasion has to be called off at some point of time. But I don't think this whole business of completely isolating and putting Russia into a corner, making them a pariah state, making Russians feel that they cannot be economically linked to the rest of the world is going to work anymore.
Well, it's never completely possible to isolate a country from the rest of the world. Not even the Soviet Union was completely isolated from the rest of the world. But with regards to India's position, I was thinking, as you were speaking, what would India expect from the rest of the world if it were invaded by one of its neighbors? I think India would expect the world to rise up in condemnation against such an invasion, and it would expect other countries not to say, "Oh, this is our interest in this particular case, that we are doing business with the invaders, so we can't really take a position." I think India would expect other countries to say, "What is the morally right thing to do in this situation?" and then act accordingly. And I think that's where we are all, the rest of the world, meaning countries not Russia or Ukraine, are having essentially a sort of a moment of moral. We have to take moral account of what's going on, and not to
oh my God,
reason about what is the most advantageous position to take financially or diplomatically, and just say, what can we do to help end this war as quickly as possible? And I think that's what India would expect from the rest of the world if it were to be invaded by one of its neighbors.
Okay, I take your point. I'll just give a one-line response and then hand it over to Gleb Makarevich from Moscow, who can perhaps respond to the broader point that you're making. But one simple point I'd like to make, Elizabeth, that there is no comparison here. Your counter question doesn't really hold true or is not relevant at all, for the simple reason that India cannot ever allow its soil to be used for geostrategic or military experimentation by any bloc. There is no comparison. Are you trying to say that I think the mistake that the Ukrainians have made, and my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine, and I support them in this time of great tragedy. But the mistake that the Ukrainians have made is that they've allowed, especially since 2014, for their soil to be used.
Right here,
for all kinds of geopolitical
Since 2014, they've allowed their soil to be used for all kinds of geopolitical experimentation. This started with Obama and these people, they don't know what they're doing.
experimentation, while this carrot of NATO or a security guarantee has been given out to it by the West. And today, American media is reporting that America has made it clear it's not going to be a guarantee for the Ukraine. You basically, left them cold on your own. So there's no comparison. As far as India facing invasions or etc. or its territory being threatened, we are threatened on a daily basis by China. We fight with China. We had casualties. We gave them casualties. Where was the rest of the world when the Galwan incident took place, when we were in a direct conflict with China? You didn't even notice. Did they notice? Jitendra Ocha, did they notice? Did the world notice when Indian soldiers were killed? When Indian soldiers were killed by the Chinese and Galwan on us, on our line of actual control, did the rest of the world even lift a finger? It didn't. It didn't say a word. We fought for ourselves and we killed dozens of Chinese. We killed dozens of Chinese, and that's why we are arming ourselves. We do not expect the West to come and fight for us. Ukraine expected the West to fight for it, and the West has hung it out to dry.
Well, you can't expect that another country will come and fight for you, but you can expect other countries to condemn the invader and to put pressure on the invader and to put sanctions on the invader. And I think India can be rightly disappointed with the rest of the world.
So then tell me, Elizabeth, very curious to know what pressure, and I have Jitendra with me. He's been a joint secretary in the government Ministry of External Affairs, so he knows geopolitical strategist, and Brahma Chalani is also there. We'd be very curious to know what kind of condemnation and pressure you put on China when they try to enter our soil in Galwan.
Let's put it back a little bit. There's something else in here I wanted to catch.
You have 6 million households in fuel poverty in the UK.
It's got nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
You need Russian fuel, or anybody's fuel for that matter, and you have to stop acting like a 52nd state. The 51st state is Canada, we all know this. But the 52nd...
The economic situation in the United Kingdom with many parts of Russia, that doesn't come into it. I'm afraid you're barking up the wrong tree there. So don't try and distract us. The fact is, Russia has invaded and started a war in the Ukraine. It hasn't gone well for Russia. She's had many casualties.
Listen to this. Look at this.
She's now having to rethink her strategy.
Not true,
the Russian people are totally unaware of what's going on in the Ukraine, and the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian...
She's laughing because it's the truth. And she speaks truth. He is propaganda.
In government do not want to be run by Russia. Simple as that. So let the Ukraine express herself democratically.
And exactly that. The Russian people don't want Ukraine to be run by Russia. The Russian people also don't want it to be run by Nazis. And that is a very important part of what we are standing against. The Ukraine has expressed itself. People have overthrown a democratically elected president. They've been killing people in the Donbass region for 8 years, calling it an anti-terror operation, thousands of dead, and please don't lecture me on the number of casualties, because you don't have the numbers either. I do. I'm a journalist. I actually read those numbers every single day.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about 10,000 Russian dead.
That's not true. You're quoting the numbers.
Let's go back to the subject. Peter Kuznick is listening in here. We're coming in once again today.
Wow. We need truth, don't we? Totally. All right, let's go. Here we go.